Mars is the planet for actions, decisions, momentum, and directionality, separation, and cutting. And he's moving now into the sign of Virgo. And he's going to be in that part of our sky on June the 17th, all the way through to the 9th of August. That 7-week journey is going to have him crashing headlong into the south node of fate. That's a big story in the third week of July. But for each of us in each of our lives, this once every 2-year transit through the sign of Virgo will bring change to the part of your sky that is represented by the Virgo whole sign house in your natal chart. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about what kind of decisions, actions, and change may be occurring with an emphasis on surrender, release, let go, cut away. Why? Because that transit of the South Node with Mars through Virgo gives us an different energy. There's a lot of fatedness with the node of the moon, K2, the South Node, involved with Mars. Now, Mars and South Node together can make Mars's malefic nature less intense. It can sort of weaken the intensity of his malefic qualities. However, it's not always just that simple, for it was a Mars South Node conjunction that began the war in the Middle East, along with an eclipse in Libra. However, Mars in Libra isn't a condition of his fall. So what happened in October of 2023 with the South Node in Libra and Mars crossing that South Node in Libra is a lot different than Virgo. Why? Why? Because Mars has no particular dignity problem. He's not strong, he's not weak, he's just right, he's neutral. All right, so South Node may also allow us to release, end, and sever, let go of something in our lives that we need for a deeper spiritual truth and wisdom to emerge in each of our lives. So today I'm going to encourage you to listen to your rising sign as likely most circumstantially accurate, representing your avatar, the character you play in the simulation, the matrix, or the video game of life. That rising sign is determined by your time of birth and the eastern horizon and the western tropical zodiac on that horizon line when you took your first breath. In order to cast your chart in whole sign houses, the ancient tradition, and find your rising sign, check out my free tutorial under this video. You'll need to know your birth time. Number 2, your sun sign is a lot to do with purpose and career matters, but it represents the essential you, the core nature of who you are, kind of like the actor that plays the character in the movie or the game player that plays the simulation. You'll often find before the age of 7 and after the age of, say, 45 to 60 onward, we begin to lean back into the sun. The character tends to dominate the middle years of our lives, 7 to 55, 60. It depends on how spiritually growth oriented you are. And lastly, the moon is your emotional temperament, how you feel about this thing called my life. But it also represents your home. So matters to do with your domestic life, your home, and where you live are also lunar focused storylines. So listen for all three, see what works best. I suggest for all three, you can get a lot of information out of this story today. Now, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I am Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, fixed stars, and minor asteroids. For this is Western Tropical Hellenistic Traditional Astrology. I also dash in a little bit of Vedic wisdom when needed because I'm studying both of those, and I'm very deep into the Vedic or Jyotish astrology in the last 4 years as well. Now, one thing I want to let you know about this is that if you're listening today and you are new here, if you hit the notification bell or like or subscribe, all of that helps this channel grow. It tells the algorithm to share this with more people. If you like this kind of content, if you do those things, it helps me grow. Alrighty. I don't like to front load too much in the sales jargon, but I don't want you to miss an opportunity to study with me. I am teaching my Sky Reader class for the 6th time, 6 weeks, live with me. Be your own astrologer, time your best life. Learn to read your natal sky. Learn to read the predictive stuff that's coming for you. It gives you enough simple predictive tools after learning the basic language of astrology to move forward and learn to time your best life. So if you want to jump aboard, we'll be starting in July. We'll be ending in August. It's 6 weeks long. There's a lot of things going on there. We have a Facebook community. We have weekly Q&As and more. So check it out. And you get to keep the content forever. So say you missed a few classes or you have to quit the class for some reason, you can't finish, no big deal. You'll get to watch that forever and ever. You'll have access to the content. So check it out in my description box underneath the video. What you'll find there is most likely at this point, I'm recording on June the 7th for my Patreon community. What you'll find there is the link to the course description and a link to get yourself on the early bird discount waitlist for a reduction in the tuition. All right, if you want that reduction. The enrollment cart will open up sometime probably closer to June 20th or so. Now let's get started. First of all, I am not afraid of Mars. It's like, who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Mars and Saturn, called the malefics, greater malefic is Saturn, lesser is Mars, are not malefic. They are, you can't have dark without light. You can't have unity without separation. Mars rules separation and Venus rules unity or unifying. Venus attracts and brings to us what we want. Mars goes and fetches it for her. So Mars is the go-getter, the action hero, the decider. If you make a decision in life, right? This job or that job, this person or that person, married or not married, that is to cut away another option, to sever, cut, and divide another choice from the other way. You can't only go one way at the same time unless you split your body in two. Mars is governing that for you. And he's doing that governorship in the sign of Virgo for about 7 weeks. I introduced this at the beginning to let you know that it starts around the 17th of June, depends on your time zone, but for most people, and it continues to August the 9th, with around July 21st, a collision with the South Node of Fate. When we get to the all signs, I'm going to talk about the vibe of letting go, because it's going to dominate the skyscape. You're really going to feel like boom, 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 up to July 21st. Here comes the South Node, and then the recovery afterwards to, after you get through that, of what you had to release. So that's the focus for your sign today. I want you to take a screenshot, please, or not, but it's helpful to have this information handy. This is my little chart for you guys. It shows you a few things. It shows you that historically, this is the most common reference points recently, that we had this Mars Virgo transit in September of 17 to October of 2017. That was a really fast moving one. Actually, not too bad, about 6-7 weeks, pretty well the same. August the 18th of 2019 to October 4th, 2019. This is to say, you might want to compare these times in your life, especially when I get into the rabbit hole of your sign. So take a screenshot of that. I don't want to remind everybody every single time I do these videos and I do your sign of the prior time frame. So if you're still listening, grab a screenshot. On July the 29th, 2021 to September 14th, 2021. And finally, July 10th of 2023 to August 27th, 2023. These were Mars moving through Virgo. I want to qualify this really briefly. Each of these times we had planets in different places, especially, where was Uranus? Where was Neptune? Where was Pluto? Those big outer planet transits. Some things will not be just the same, for example, as 2017. In fact, Uranus was not in the sign of Taurus in 2017. So that's a different vibe. We can't compare everything exactly. It's not ever exactly the same. It's the general gist. In 2019, 21, and 23's transits, Uranus, the god of radical, shocking change, was in Taurus, trining Mars in Virgo, giving Mars some positive electrocutions of breakthrough, break free, creativity, invention, radical change, shock and awe in a positive way, because trines are the nature of Jupiter. And Mars in Virgo, an earth sign, was trining Uranus in 2019, 21, and 23 during Mars's transits through Virgo. So we don't have that vibe going anymore, and nor did we have it back in 2017. So just to remind you, nothing is exactly the same, but the house in which this occurs in your chart is. We all have 12 houses, 12 equal sized pie slices of 30 degrees in the whole sign house system of the ancient world. This could be the house of your children, the house of romance, the house of marriage, the house of work, the house of health, the house of career, the house of friends, the house of chunky money, the house of earning money, saving money. There's so many different stories where this Mars transit takes place. Well, I'll share that when I get to your sign. Finally, you might notice that I said this Virgo transit is most like mid-June of 1977 to around mid-August of 1978. The reason is this is coming off a time that started to activate in September. Oh, did I say June of 77 to August of 78? Forget that. What I meant to say was June of 78 to August of 78. I apologize. June of 78 to August of 78. All right. Let me take off the bad screen share. June of 78 to August of 78, if you were alive to compare and remember that time, is more similar to Mars in Virgo this time. For the reason is Mars spent a lot of time in Cancer and Leo in the fall and in the winter in the same pattern as 1977 September through to June of 1978. So this is going to be more like that time in some ways. So if you were around back then, you might remember what you were doing in June of 78 to August of 78. Okay, some of you, it won't be relevant. You weren't alive, but just know there is a comparison to that time frame. Virgo is a sign of health, the sign of details, the sign of the priestess, the sign of the virgin. Elements to do with health, with devotion, with priestess duties, with virginal purity are here. It's an earth sign. It may involve matters to do with the earth itself. It will involve nations that are Virgo rising in particular, such as the nation of Lebanon. Mars moving through Lebanon's first house during this time will indicate turmoil in the country of Lebanon, most likely between March the 17th and August the 9th. And we can only imagine why, being, in the middle of that horrible mess over there. July 21st, South Node Mars in the first house of the nation of Lebanon is not a positive omen for that country, either internally or with neighbors and wars. So we shall see what goes on at that time. Otherwise, for all of us, we have one whole Virgo house. This indicates for Virgo rising in particular, and sun and moon, this is a very intense, very important transit, for we have the nodal axis, the South Node in Virgo, while Mars transits Virgo in a way we haven't seen for 18 years. Okay, so it is got a rarity to it because of the nodes, Mars with the nodes, that kind of thing. Indeed, the last time Mars co-joined the South Node in Virgo by transit is exactly when? Let me tell you. Okay, so I just have the dates for you, and I want you to go back, if you want, to June the 15th, 2008. That was, of course, the financial crisis was really bubbling up, the global financial crisis and the subprime loan scandal and the crashing of the markets and a little bit of a recession, to say the least. But that was June of 2008 and September the 6th, 1970. I don't want to go into world events in terms of everything that could have happened then. I'm going to focus on an example. Lebanon is a Virgo rising country, and in June of 2008, we had the South Node Mars conjunction. What occurred then was literally, let me go back, 2008, and that would have been starting in May. It began in May, but don't forget Mars is moving slowly to connect with the South Node. But in May, at Lebanon of 2008, there was what was called the Lebanon conflict. And 2008, that was the conflict between the military and in Lebanon and Hezbollah and pro-government forces. And technically, according to my information, what happened was there was a call by the country's union federation demanding higher wages and outcries around consumer prices. It was overshadowed by the government's decisions and escalated into a low-level violence between pro-government forces and Hezbollah. So there was this kind of tense, burbling crisis economically, of course, but also between factions within the country. Then in September of 1970, what happened was Black September. On September 6, 1970, Mars and the South Node came together. In September of 1970, the PLO was expelled from Jordan. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, which was quite militant back then, was expelled from Jordan. And in September, they migrated to their new headquarters in Lebanon. So that is the beginning of a new story. Now that they had moved their headquarters to Lebanon, we ended up with this very militant organization, because a lot of Palestinians in 1948-49 during the Nakba migrated into what is modern day Lebanon. The PLO there began to form raids on Israel, and that began to intensify skirmishes between the Lebanon-Israeli borders, and that began, of course, the ongoing onslaught of local tensions between those two countries. So you're going to be able to see stories in Lebanon that may reflect 2007, 8, and 1970, yet again coming up this summer, most likely between June 17th and July the June 17th and August the 9th. And one thing about that little window of time, nothing was so devastating, right? But now we have such a hotbed energy that we didn't have in that region that's very qualitatively different than things we've seen before. So I cannot say that this is a bed of roses. Chiron's still traveling through the house of open enemies in the nation of Israel's chart. Israel is Libra rising. We had a Libra eclipse October the 10th. October the 10th, I don't know the date. In October last year, we had an eclipse in Libra at 10 degrees of Libra, if memory serves me. And that eclipse activated the ascendant of the nation of Israel. And it is still playing out because it is a solar eclipse through to this fall. So eclipse energy on the ascendant of Israel, that was what started the war back in 2023. This is a last eclipse to finalize whatever that disastrous thing is about, to say the very least. Now, countries around the world are turning on them. People are no longer like buying, what do you call it? The propaganda narrative anymore. Countries, nations, globally. There's a new one. I don't remember who it was. Was it in Germany? But anyway, some kind of UK maybe manufacturer of engines was blockading that and no longer selling to Israel. Just today, as of maybe January 7th or so, that came out. There's just a global upswell of horrific, ghastly despair and shock about what's been going on for a while. A lot of us felt that way a year and a half, 2 years ago, even. We caught the rest of the public to catch up to what's really going on there. And so that's what's going on, guys. That's what I got for you, that Lebanon story. There'll be other examples, of course, that I won't have time to do. Let's not go too geopolitical. Let's let that one rest a bit. If you're in the comments and you have any thoughts about this, I'd love to hear. The June of 2008, it was June 15th, 2008, that Mars and the South Node co-joined in Virgo, and September of 1970. There was another cycle that was missed in 1986, 87, 88, around that time when the South Node was moving through Virgo. However, Mars did not join the South Node in Virgo. It skipped a beat. So to connect the dots in a most similar pattern, it's a lot like September of 1970 and June of 2008, around that time. I'm wondering if in 1970 it was when there was the crisis around gas prices. Remember Jimmy Carter? Was he in then? And we had gas price calamity. Let me take a look. So there was an 11-month mild recession in that time frame of 1969 to in the 1970, early 1970. So we may see a repeating mild recessionary environment or some recessionary environment. Virgo is an earth sign ruled by Mercury, who rules commerce, banking, economies, markets and stuff like that. So we could very well see a indication of a mild recessionary environment coming through our sky mid-June to mid-August, like we also may have seen as well. So that was like 1970, like we also saw in 2008, but 2008 gave rise to a much more terrible recession. So we could see recessionary signals in the economy, in the United States in particular. However, I'm more optimistic with Jupiter in Cancer than not, especially for the housing industry becoming more affordable and for some better things to arise, like as is Jupiter in his home sign wants to make a big difference for the positive. There is a ladybug. Are you listening, guys? I have a ladybug synchronicity thing. There is now a ladybug crawling on my window to the left of me. Hello, ladybug. Do you know why the ladybug's called a ladybug, apparently, which connects to Our Lady? I think that Our Lady is the Virgin Mary, but it could be Mary Magdalene, but whoever Our Lady is, Notre Dame, I think that's actually a Mary Magdalene thing. Our Lady energy. Okay, so basically these farmers were praying like they needed to get pests off their crops back in the ancient Europe, Middle Ages or something. So they were praying to Our Lady for support to save the crops. And the ladybugs came in, and the ladybugs eat the bad crops. They eat the bugs that kill the crops. And so the answer to the prayer for the saving of the crops was the ladybug. And it had a long name, like the Hail Mary of Our Lady of the la 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 of the saving of the crops, and eventually became Ladybug. Okay, I read that when I was researching all my ladybug synchronicities. So a ladybug is lucky, and I'm unfortunate, and good news. And I think that's if we have an economic tailwind spin from all the tariff stuff and all the calamity in the US and all the world right now. I think that we'll see indicators in July 21st is when the South Node Mars conjunction happens, but anywhere mid-June to August 9th, concerns about it, maybe a mild dip, may not last more than several months, won't be as bad as all that. That's my guess. Okay, who knows? I mean, I know a lot of astrologers are predicting a grand slam recession and financial crisis. I don't know. I almost feel like Jupiter is giving us a Hail Mary pass. It could have been a lot worse, but his exaltation in Cancer can save the day to some degree. And I'm going to stick with that, really. I mean, Jupiter in Cancer is sextiling the Virgo sky, which is to add favorable input to the challenges that Mars is bringing up. So I might go against the grain and say there will not be a massive financial meltdown. And that is even counterintuitive to what my mind says, but I have to read the sky. So let's go ahead and do your sign. Now, remember, we're listening to your sign. I gave you the intro. Go back and listen to how to listen for sun, moon, and rising sign. I really, really encourage you to do that rather than me repeat it every single time. And also, if you want to get the last times this happened historically and the dates that Mars moved through here, the last 4 times, which goes back to 2017, to compare notes, please go back to watch the intro. I think I flashed up that screenshotable chart in the first 8 minutes of the video or so, but my timestamper Nancy will have timestamps below that show you when that chart is available, and you can jump to your sign and not listen to other signs as well. Timestamps are valuable. Pin to the comments and also in the chapters of the video. Chapters meaning click the title of the video and you can click forward. By the way, before I begin, I'm on the wrong year. That's so funny. My 2025 All Signs bundle are half price. That's 12 videos times 12 signs times 2 hours each with a PDF guidebook in chronological order, quarter by quarter. If you or your friends or family would like a little support in navigating 2025 through the lens of astrology for your sign, you might want to grab the bundle for $33. Individual signs have been reduced to only $22. All the information is in the description box below. That's the halfway through the year half price sale. All right, so let me get going to fixing this to the now. There we are. So let's go ahead and talk about Mars moving through the sign of Virgo starting on the 17th of June, reminding us that this has a lot of similarity to mid-June to mid-August of 1978. Okay. Mars is here in Virgo. We're on June 17th. So, Aries, this is an interesting place for you because Mars here is in the tradition of Hellenistic astrology in his joy. So he has a special dignity or superpower by being in the 6th house. And in this case, I can hear sawing outside my window. Every time I do a Mars video, somebody's doing some sawing. You can't make this stuff up. But Mars moving through Virgo will have you working hard, but joyfully. He will have you passionately engaged in powerful willpower, determination, focused action in work. So if you want to sort of count on it and do something in the work environment, job environment, then you can go for the idea that you can work hard at a job with great passion and great, intensity between June the 17th and August the 9th. With a caveat, he's going to crash into the South Node around July the 21st. That could be burnout. That could be like, oh my God, I can't deal. So some part of the work around this 21st of July, you might need to surrender it. Maybe a week or two before and after, you might go, oh my God, I can't see this many clients. Oh my God, I got to tone down the pace here. Because Mars will work hard in the 6th house. You're going to be on your A game, but you might get really exhausted. The second thing about it is this is an area of the chart that represents our health. Particularly, it's the house of sickness. And so in this regard, you might find yourself challenged a bit with Mars here with health challenges that you need to watch out for, particularly accidents, infections, injuries, rashes, fevers. These are Martian narratives in your sky. And I don't even have my medical astrology handy, but Virgo rules of a certain part of the physical body. Well, just for you, I'm going to get up and come right back because I want you to know Aries, sun, moon, but especially rising, what that part of the body is on my medical astrology cheat sheet. I shall return. Coming back, Virgo. Here we are. Okay, not Virgo, Aries. Watch out for health challenges of your intestines, your intestinal system. So I don't know what that could be. Food poisoning, anyone? Lower spine. So the lumbar spine, don't fall down on your tailbone. Okay. Watch your low back. Fingers, don't cut your fingers and don't burn your fingers. Mars cuts and burns, right? Don't do that. Don't get your fingers caught in a door. Be careful for your fingers and your spleen. Well, your spleen, you can't control that. But, sometimes people get inflammation of the spleen. So that's another story. I mean, the spleen is where you make, I think, immune system reservoirs. So certainly you don't want to be in a fight in which someone kicks you in the spleen. So let's be careful, all of you Aries, rising in particular, for health challenges connected to intestines, lower spine, fingers, and spleen, including accidents, injuries, fevers, infections, burns and cuts, etc. Otherwise, especially around the 21st of July, when you got a South Node energy there. But as I said in the introduction, technically the North Node intensifies or volumes up a planet, and the South Node tones it down. So Mars is being toned down. So he's not as potentially malefic or difficult, I think, with the South Node there. But you might need to let go, release, surrender some kind of work situation, some kind of self-undoing, some kind of thing that you do that does not support your health. Sometimes when Mars is here, there may be changes, decisions, and actions around rental properties, and you might make some changes or decisions around property rentals. But with Jupiter sextiling the entire time in a whole sign sextile, it's golden opportunities around work from home, work close to home, abundance from the work you do at home, or because prosperity is Jupiter's forte in your fourth house, or maybe some changes of your home, but connected to rental opportunities. Let's see what happens. And literally, with Juno traveling through Scorpio, maybe even an opportunity for a purchase or sale of a property as well, as he goes through your sixth house during this window of time. Is there anything else I'd like to let you know? Well, I would draw attention to the fact that as he enters into the sign of Virgo, Venus is in Taurus for dignity. And so all this hard work sort of bakes in an energy of the following themes. I work hard for my money, but I earn a lot. I'm surprised by how well I'm doing. I have passion, drive, and ambition for work and actions and decisions in my work environment. And I feel wealthy and super lush in my finances because of it. I quit my job or that part of my job because it's not serving me, and Venus protects me financially. I'm surprised by how much success I'm having in my earnings connected to my drive and ambition, decisions, and actions for my work. But I might need to let go of something in July, particularly in the third week, because it's not serving me and it's not working for my greater good in my work and health environment. That's what I've got for you. Hopefully that's useful. And I love that energy. I hope that helps you as well. Oh, I cut away a food that's pleasurable but not good for me, and it improves my health. Something that goes in my mouth shouldn't go there. Let me cut it away so that I am more healthy. That's another story of this transit for you. Oh, I had to do that. I pinned my chart to 0 Aries. Let's fix it and move us back to whole signs. And let's fix that up. And let's go all the way back to Taurus, if you don't mind. By hours, and then Tauruses. Well, let's get there first, right? Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Mars is moving into your fifth house. Well, that's a competition house. It's like, I want to win a lottery, speculate, take a risk. I want to gamble here. I want to win at a competitive event or a competition spirit. So your competitive spirit is high as a Taurus, and you can harness that competitive spirit to succeed in dharmic endeavors, moving into alignment with purpose, being an entrepreneur, being more creative. Mars is a passion planet. He rules the sexual energy itself. And Venus wants to unite in romance, but Mars is like, let's shag, shagging, Austin Powers. So the shagging energy is picking up here a lot as well. So you might have a lot of passion, a lot of excitement, June 17th, August the 9th, around romantic sexual passion, etc. And possibly it really is picking up whether you're in a relationship or not. If you're dating, wow, watch out for the passion, especially with Mars in a trine to Venus. You're feeling more beautiful, more lovely. You have a desire to unite. maybe with a partner. You have Juno in the 7th. You might want a relationship. You might be yearning for one. You might take this as a single Taurus and hit the dating apps or go for it. Mercury and Jupiter in the house of dating apps, 3rd house. And also the support from Jupiter is if you do date a dating app, or you go out and dates in the local neighborhood, or you're traveling, you can meet somebody. And it could be an extremely positive and very, very successful new relationship. If you're in a relationship as a Taurus and you know it's not right for you, well, Mars will try to cut, end, and sever. And he'll do it in a way that with the South Node is feeling like relief and release. It's time to let that relationship go. You recognize it's not working for you. Do you have children? Because Mars is in the house of those children. And quite possibly, Mars is saying there's going to be a separation from your children, or your children could move out of the house, or you may part ways with your children, obviously adult children, hopefully, mid-June to mid-August, June 17th to August the 9th. This is very unlike anything you've seen, right? If you watched my intro since 2007, that's the last time this vibe happened. Was it 2008? 2008. So you have to say, well, it's pretty darn rare. What are you surrendering and releasing and letting go of? Is it attachment to your children? Is it being over functioning with your children? But you can let go with ease. Venus is like super on her A game. You're learning to value yourself and release the rest. A creative project, an entrepreneurial business, cut and sever, let go. It's time. That's what it would say to me. Okay. Maybe one project you've been working on forever, and you're going like, maybe not. Maybe it's time to release that project, release that business, leave it, let it go, cut it away. Again, we're talking about more acutely in the 3rd week of April. And it'll take you back to 2008. So if you really want to compare it, please go back to mid-June of 2008 to see what was let go of, surrendered, and released in the 5th house then on the themes I just mentioned to you. I do want to say Jupiter is so lovely in your 3rd house, sextiling that Mars, that if you want to create a new entrepreneurial business, this is a great activation. You could do something here with this and begin to put the pegs in place for a creative, artistic, or entrepreneurial project that's really successful, and just start that project. I would encourage that June 17th to August the 9th. But as much as you could let go, you could start. Finally, if it is a romance that's particularly not working for you, then that's going to be the 3rd week of July, where that could be falling away, letting go, and surrendering it. And that's what I've got for you. All right. I think I need just a small break. Pause, pause, pause. I'm having a hot flash. I need to open the window. I had it closed because of the sawing out there. But now it's way too warm on June 7th, 4 o'clock in Vancouver, Canada. Give me a minute. Whew. All right, guys. Sorry. I really need to cool this house down. We're back to you. Moving on. Love this particular subject matter of Mars. I'm a really big fan of Mars because I have Aries rising sun and moon. Aries moon, sun, and Mercury. So I love Mars. Mars does well by me, but I want you to all reframe this poor guy. We can't unite if we don't sever and cut. You have to have both sides of the coin, right? You want your gangrene limb cut off, so in order to survive. So he does the job. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. Yeah, back in 2008, as the saw is outside my window, you had this action in June of 2008, Mars South Node energy, back again. But Mars traveling through your Virgo house is your 4th house, home, property, land, real estate, domestic life. Sometimes he brings domestic strife, fighting in the home, irritability in the home. I hate to say it, domestic violence in the home, hot topic, but arguments in the home, conflict in the home, and it only happens every 2 years. You have to go through this storyline, so keep it in mind. It's not like a common occurrence. Go back to the beginning of my video for the last times this happened, the last 4 times, so exact dates for yourself. Now, when Mars is moving through the 4th house, you can also be constructing something like hammering, sawing, doing construction projects, in the home. So it can just be very benevolent too. So keep that up your sleeve. June 17th to the 9th, hire a contractor, maybe do, repainting. That's kind of Venus, but Venus is trining. So yeah. And I like Juno, and you might hire somebody to do something in your home to improve your domestic life with a project of construction type stuff, or gardening in Virgo, or creating a flower bed or flower pots on the balcony or something like that. So that's just a benevolent story. However, sometimes Mars here will have us leave our home, especially with the South Node. Sometimes we can like travel from the home to places we've been before, South Node Mars, and that could all be all that it is. You're going to travel away from home to a place you've been in the past. So that's okay, right? June 17th through to August the 9th. There's a bit of the expat here. People born with Mars in your fourth house, you often will live in a country other than your own country. Some of you will even feel exiled from your home country. So there's a feeling like you may feel exiled from your home because you are not in your home. You're separated from your home for whatever reason during the June 17th to August 9th. But like in 2008 and 1970, he's bumping into the South Node in your fourth house, in this case, July 21st. So around the third week of July, a feeling of what you need to let go, surrender, and release. It's time to set up a letting go structure to do with home matters, including the actual home in which you live. With Juno in the sixth house, contracts and agreements around rentals, and a sextile, if you have to let go of an agreement or a home and it's a rental, it's going to be fine because it's a flowing energy, and Juno's in Mars's kingdom, and it all works out. No hardship here. Jupiter is in your earnings house, and hey, he's going to be here for a year, and you're going to make more money, earn more money, save more money. You're going to get more wealthy, no doubt about it. And this Jupiter lucky wealth energy is really a part of why you could make changes in your home, construct in your home, build your home, leave your home, change your home, let go of your home, maybe for a bigger home, a better home, a more fancy home. Some of you might be doing things like that. Also, consider that Venus is trining Mars. It's a whole sign trine from the 12th house, and the energy is lovely. It's like, well, you could get some really significant shifts in home because of an opportunity for a new home, for a sudden surprising Uranus in a distant shore or distant land from where you currently live. And I often find the 12th house distant shores is like, it could be like New York versus LA. It could be this side of my state versus that side of my state. So I wouldn't be surprised if you got an opportunity for a home or change of home connected to far off or distant shores. So let's see what happens. It's kind of exciting. The only thing I caution you the third week of July is, South Node is going to take the temperature down for Mars, I think, but you could have a really profound conflict in the home that finally has you thinking, oh, I got to let go. There's something I need to let go of. A person, a situation, a place, a thing, third week of July. And you need to make the decisions and take the actions in order to do that. And, the South Node is ruled by Mercury. And when this ingress starts, he's in a money house where you got lucky Jupiter amplifying it. But, who knows? Let me know what you're letting go of the third week of July. Did you let go of something June 15th of 2008? Do you remember September 6th of 1970 to do with your home and letting go? Go back and see if you can remember anything similar at the time. Remembering the sky is never the same twice, and this is just general bell curve astrology. It's not your natal chart reading. And then we have Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising sign people. Well, yeah, just like June of 2008 and September of 1970, Mars and the South Node are hanging out together in your third house. This happened 4 times before without that sort of South Node. So go back and listen to all the 4 times before this one since June to 2017. Should also compare what Mars might want you to do in your third house. What is he doing there? Like, what the hell? Well, first of all, this is a house of the sibling one younger, or siblings in general, but usually the one younger than you. Also, aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family, neighbors, neighborhood, childhood friends, and more. This might not be about you. This might be about the person, these types of persons in your life. So possibly Mars is accidents, injuries, and inflammation. South Node can be challenges to one's health. And maybe there's a health challenge going on for one of those people in your life. And the good news is you as Jupiter, you can support, help, find solutions, and be a really great ally for that family member or neighbor or some person, a sibling one younger, going through a challenging time. So don't make it all about you. It could be their problem, their situation. And maybe you can go back and say, did they have problems with their health as well? Way back in the day. Oh, a weird bug came in the house. Way back in the day, June 17th. of 2008, June 15th, and also September 6th of 1970. Maybe it's a rinse repeat for you as well. What kind of weird bug is that? Ugh, it's not the ladybug. Now, well, it's an icky bug too. And so there's an icky bug coming through for the people who are your third house people. They might get a bug, you know. Mars rules infections, right? So they might get an infection and they're going through a hard time with their health. June 17th to August the 9th as well. So there is that. You might want to travel short distances to places you've been before. And this would be like, I'm going to go, you know, to the city, the town, the state. I've traveled here before. It's not too far away. It's not that exotic. It's kind of familiar. And so there can be that kind of those shorter distance journeys that you want to take. You have a lot of passion, ardor, a lot of intensity about actions and decisions as well, connected to learning, studying, skills-based learning or teaching. Maybe to do with your social media realm, your online story, your website. These are areas of the third house. This is a writing house, and this is a sign of Virgo, the writer. And you might be really excited about a writing project if you're a Cancer rising, especially because the ingress involves Mercury in your sign, the communicator and the writer and the messenger, and Jupiter, expansion, growth, and prosperity, is kind of bakes in for this transit of the 7 weeks that Mars is here. The possibility of some really great prosperity personally hitting you and luck when it comes to the area of writing and publishing in your life. So look for that as well. Venus is in a beautiful sextile from the 11th house, friends in high places, allies and benefactors, long range dreams and goals, and friendship groups and circles favoring you, giving you great support in your writing, your teaching, your traveling, your communicating, your marketing, and your selling. This could look like being on someone's podcast, getting a leg up from a friend, having a benefactor want to support your success in your third house projects. Sometimes when Mars moves to the third house, I see people working their ass off to revise a website, to revise a manuscript, to work on some project that is the, you know, the artist, not the artist, the writing, the marketing, selling, the online world stuff. So there's that. Finally, South Node is let go. Mars is neighborhood. Some of you may change your neighborhood. Some of you may release your neighborhood. You may move to a new neighborhood, to a new local environment. Keep that in mind as well. Jupiter rules the house of rentals, and he's in your first house. He's with you. You could change your neighborhood and you rent a new property. Something like that could happen. Well, if you're looking for romance and you do have a broad trine between Mars and Venus, Mars would give you a soulmate that you bump into in the local neighborhood, but introduced by a friend, a house party and a friend, a group of friends and a local event, and you meet this person. So if you're a single Cancer, rising in particular, you may meet somebody in this transit for your romantic heart to pitter patter. Again, when is the date? Yes, you got it. June the 17th to August the 9th. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign, what can you say? You got this transit every 2 years. Go back and watch the intro for the last 4 transits of Mars and Virgo. But this one is particularly like June of 2008 and September 1970 because it has Mars North Node energy, South Node energy in the earnings house. Now, this can look like quitting your job, letting go of a way of earning money. But don't worry, Venus protects you in the 10th house, and something better and surprising and shocking comes along. Mars here can spend more money than you usually spend, but with Venus and Uranus in the Earth, 10th house, it works out anyway. And although you spend more than you normally do, there's such protection in your career and reputation zone that things are likely to just be totally all right no matter what. One thing about Mars moving through your second house, it's your food style, and he eliminates and cuts. So if you're a Leo who's been going, I don't know if I could eat that gluten, I don't know if I could eat that wine, drink that wine, Jupiter in the house of self-undoing with Mercury, you'll notice you're curtailing some of your vices, that of things that go into your physical mouth and throat, and even your nose. And it's time to stop the wheeze, stop this, stop that. So it's a nice transit for elimination, surrender, and release of substance abuse, misuse disorders, or even outright addictions. And you have almost like a miracle healing of an addictive pattern or a misuse pattern with Jupiter's blessing coming through the sky during this time of June 17th, all the way through to August the 9th. Watch for the 21st in particular, around that time of July, where you might quit a job or end or cut or sever and let go deeply and profoundly, again, a food style or substance style, substance use style that no longer works for you at all. You're like done, you're toast. Maybe you may be working on aggressive decision making and action taking to do with where you live, wanting to sign a contract to change your domicile, having a change of home. And you might be really focused on letting go of a place you've lived and you're ready to release it, but it all flows and you move into a new place, maybe even in a distant shore with greater ease than you could even imagine. So there's that too. A distant shore, I mean, it could be another town. It could be far edges of the current town you live in, something like that. But maybe a home change for a few of you Leos, not all of you, but some of you. And that's what I've got for you. And don't forget, this transit happens every 2 years. And this has a lot of resonance with, I talked in the beginning, 1977, 78. So particularly June of 78 to August of 78. All right, Virgo. Well, first of all, Mars is in your sign, and that's a big deal. Mars is giving you a huge amount of power to act and decide with great authority. So, you're a mutable sign. That means you're flexible, adaptable, but you're also sometimes caught in indecision. And that's a classic mutable. All the mutables are Sag, Gemini, and Cancer, and Virgo. So you're double-bodied, you go this way or that way. And this means you can sometimes be stuck in analysis paralysis, especially Virgo. So where you've been stuck in making decisions or taking actions in any area of your life, if it's your Virgo sun, more about your career path, Virgo moon about your home life and where you live, but Virgo rising, you could be analysis paralysis, decision-making stuck about your marriage, about your home life, about your career path, about your finances, everything kind of all lockjawed up. Well, that's not happening now. This is giving you that once every 2-year run of about 7 weeks where you are on your A game for decisions and actions and making sure that you go forward with new directions and momentum because of your ability to choose. So you're in that choosing success mode June 17th, all the way through until the 9th of August. But Mars is still infections, inflammation, and rashes, heat in the body, accidents, cutting, yourself, etc. Be careful. This is just a transit. It happens every 2 years. It hasn't killed you yet, right? So you're here to, tell the tale. It reminds you most of June of 2008 and September of 1970, just because of the South Node. So in particular, the third week of July, you have to be extra careful here about self-harm, injury, accidents. It doesn't have to be a temperature infection virus, but Mars rules those things as well. And of course, I talked earlier for another sign about Virgo energies. Be careful for problems to your intestines, your lower spine, your fingers, and your spleen. So you particularly, as well as the Aries, don't cut your fingers. Don't put your fingers in the door jamb, that kind of thing. Or rashes on your fingers, just eczema flaring all over your fingers, that kind of a nuisance storyline. Now, you do have protection here as well. Jupiter is in exaltation in Cancer and sextiling the ingress. So no matter what problems you may have going on, with health challenges, which you could, especially Virgo rising for health, but also to do with decisions and actions you wish to take, Jupiter is applying towards Mars in a benevolent sextile. And the energy is something like, I've got this for you. Everything will work out. So for example, you want to make decisions to change your job, change your career. Jupiter says, I'm going to bring you greater gains. You want to make decisions around your relationship. Jupiter says, I'll soothe the waters of your long-term relationship and bring greater expansion and growth, So you have goodness from Jupiter and goodness from Venus. Venus is a benefic, and she's in Taurus, and she's in a whole sign, Earth trine to Mars. And that's also very positive. Energetically, she wants to support Mars moving through Virgo. Mercury, the lord of the Virgo sky, is in the house of benefactors and allies. Venus is in the house of distant shores, far off lands, and foreign travel, legal and court matters to do with third long-term marriages. All of this is getting support as you action, take, and decide what to do. Now, some of you with this intensity of the North Node in the marriage house are finding that you have to stretch the marriage or long-term committed love story into something new. I say it's like the root bound pot of your marriage or long term love story needs a bigger pot to grow in, whether it's a physical pot, like a new home, and Jupiter does rule that homeland and property for you, or an energy pot of how you relate to each other, more space together, more spaciousness in the relationship, more generosity between you. That's a story that's in the backdrop, okay? And I will just say Mars has got a sword aimed at your partner. Some of you Virgos could very well be throwing darts at your partner. You're angry at your partner, you're cutting off your partner, you're separating from your partner by your own decision and agency during this transit. Did you separate from a partner in this nodal intensity, for example, in June of 2008 or the summer of 2008? Go back and remember, or September of 1970. So this is something you have to do every 2 years to consider how many darts you're going to throw at a partner or end or sever a relationship. This is nothing new. It's just the nodes add intensity and destined energies to it. All right. Just trust that the third week of July, what you need to let go of is what you need to let go of is what you need to let go of. All right. Could be even a long range goal, dream, or plan for your life. Could even be a particular friendship. Could even be something to do with your ambitions or your goals around publications, book publishing, things to do with higher education. Something wants to be surrendered. It could be in any area of your life, but I'm just giving you some examples. The letting go should be somewhat easy with the flow from Venus and Jupiter to Mars. But nonetheless, we all love what we know and we want to keep what we have. So letting go is never always easy because you have to move into the unknown. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first of all, Mars is moving through a subtle 12th house placement. It's really good for cutting and ending addictions and self undoing. It's really good for traveling to distant shores and foreign lands. It's really good for creative or ambitious solitude projects where you're doing something with a lot of discipline and willpower and focus alone in your private downtime. And it's a sign of the writer. So it could involve writing projects or marketing and selling projects, Mercury stories that attend to matters of your 10th house of career. So in the solitude of your aloneness, you're working very hard at something that can bring great prosperity and success in your 10th house of career and reputation. And Jupiter supports that alone time and hard work that you're doing alone. This is outside the bounds of the day job, so to speak, usually. Now, Mars in the 12th house can be about hospitals and places of isolation. And so possibly this won't be about you, but somebody could end up in a hospital setting here, connected to people in your life, maybe even just a boss. But at the ingress, the sun, which is father figures, is also squaring the ingress. So broad square, whole sign square, and Hygeia for health is up there. So a male authority figure or father figure may end up in a hospital setting during this transit. That's a possibility. Just saying. Venus is supportive of Mars from the 8th house. This is other people's money, including legacy, wealth, and inheritances. Again, I don't know, guys. Some of you may be receiving some kind of bequeathments or money from somebody father figures especially, could come up. Could be an elder. Saturn in the setting place. Could be like grandpa is going to pass money on. Grandpa's in the hospital. If you have a grandparent or Uncle Joe or great Uncle Joe, that kind of vibe. Just a few of you. You want to go back to June of 2008, of course, in September 1970, to see how it felt to have the South Node and Mars transiting here. South Node in the 12th house can help liberate you spiritually and give you a whole new vibe of like letting go and surrendering to God. It's a let go, let God transit. It doesn't end until next summer. Releasing your own agenda to the greater good, finding your alignment with divine will. And in that vibe is playing out in a way you haven't seen since 2008 June. So you have to go back and say, was I surrendering to divine will by ending, letting go, and cutting habits, addictions, bad habits, self-sabotage out of my life? And did anybody, give up the ghost in a hospital in June of 2008 or September 1970 in my life? And if so, am I ready to engage that energy again? Understanding it's a part of the greater destiny of your story. You've chosen this life to experience this stuff, right? There's some changes that could happen with work and work contracts and places of employment under the sky. And Mars is the backroom deals and negotiations that help you make the decisions you need in order to form those contracts, change those contracts, or renew those contracts. All of these are possible in this narrative. Hey, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. First of all, hallelujah, right? Mars is in your house of allies and friends and benefactors. Sometimes it just shows up as a guy. Mars is male energy. So a male energy is going to be ally and benefactor. South Node, you know this person from past lives, or they're destined allies for you. You feel familiar. Destined allies with male energy showing up in your house of allies and benefactors. So that's positive, flowing to you and supporting you, especially in ways that have to do with Dharma and alignment with your deeper purpose, where Jupiter and Mercury are both sitting, and Mercury is telling Mars what to do. And Venus can be contractual agreements as well. Signing a contract provided by an ally or a friend that serves your greater purpose and alignment to purpose, and moving into a greater enjoyment of a purposeful alignment in your life. Some of you may look at this as an opportunity to exit a friendship. Maybe your friendship isn't right for you. You have to surrender, especially the third week of July. Did you let go of some significant friendships or groups of belonging, a chosen tribe? Back in June of 2008, if you can remember, if you did that, sometimes we do that because we move away from our friends. Mars here can be, especially with the South Node, you're moving away physically, or they're moving away from you, but there could be a friendship that you let go of, or a group of friends even. And you may have done something similar in the summer of 2008, June of 2008, or September of 1970, if you're old enough to remember that. One of the things about Mars here is that you may change your goals and ambitious dreams for your life, like the planning, the forward thinking, the 5-year plan, cut sever, and time to make a change, make decisions to change it. It's not that you don't need this plan anymore. It's something different. But unlike, say, 2017, 2019, 2021, go back and watch the intro for those dates on my screenshotable in the first 10 minutes. You have the North Node of destiny. And that means that it's not even about you anymore. It's like forces beyond your control are making changes here for you. Okay. All righty. North Node's in a luck house. Jupiter is in a luck house. They're in Dharma houses. There's a real kind of pivot to align with purpose during this transit of June, 17th to August 9th. Some of you could even travel to far offshore and foreign lands with friends. That's a possibility, or with a significant long-term love partner, like a marriage partner as well. And this transit could open up some interesting opportunities for a marriage partner connected to the words international, long distance travel, legal court success stories, and even book publishing for someone significant in your life, particularly a marriage type partner. Are you single? Well, not too bad. If you want to meet someone new, you can. Surprisingly different from anyone you've ever dated before, but likely coming through social events connected to friends. And with Mars up there in Virgo, I don't know, it could be like bungee jumping, skydiving, I don't know, gardening party, in Virgo, I don't know, medicinal party. We're all looking at making potions and herbs from the garden. And in a group setting, you could meet a really long-term love partner, and they may have connections to foreign lands and travel as well. Some of this could involve foreign travel as well, but it could be a new partnership for some single Scorpios. Sagittarius. Sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, Lord Jupiter, your Lord, is blessing this story. So you're not going to be worried too much about it. However, Mars is transiting your 10th house of weddings and the legal marriage itself. So there is a possibility that you may end up looking at this transit as a cutting, ending, and severing of a longer-term committed love story. And Jupiter's been testing the waters for the last year anyway. And this would be separating the assets, dividing the home, separating the resources easily with flow, and the end of a long-term committed love, like a marriage. Or Mars up in the 10th house can say, it's time to change your job. South Node, release and let go. Have you been in a job path or a career path that completely isn't right for you? And unlike, say, 2017, 19, and 21, this is much more like June of 2008 or September of 1970, where by the time you hit July, you may have to release that work, that job, that relationship that's like a marriage. No choice. South Node of fate. Energetically, Mars up here can have you working with passion, drive, and ambition, willpower, and determination in the work that you already do, but that doesn't take away the South Node. Some part of that work you have to let go of. Some part of that reputation and social standing, I'm married, divorced, I'm widowed, social standing has to be released. And that's more true in the third week of July. The energy from Venus in the workhouse is positive because even if you let go of a job, Venus in the workhouse smooths it all over and says, and a surprising other opportunity, golden new opportunity, luck and good things in the workhouse, in the employment house. Dating belongs to the sixth house. I wouldn't encourage like letting go of the marriage and dating right away, but you may be dating somebody from the work story. And if you're single, dating somebody in a work environment with the South Node indicates a soulmate connection, past lives together. So single Sagittarius, don't be afraid to meet somebody in a work environment. It doesn't have to be the job, the fluorescent lit office. I mean, the work you're doing. What is the work you're doing? And in the capacity of your work, you could meet a new relationship partner if you are a single Sag. The father figures in your life can technically come from the 10th house. Cut and sever. A connection to a father figure, especially with the sun moving into the house of death. It doesn't have to be literal, but you may be getting ready to eliminate or cut or end a relationship with a patrilineal, authoritative male father figure energy in your life. It could be anybody in your life that you have been stuck in that kind of power imbalance with, and now you got your sword and you're letting that power imbalance go. It's time to move on and move into a relationship to power and authority that works better for you. And with the sun connected to Jupiter, it's also good for your chunky money. Technically, Jupiter's transit for a year could give you inheritances or lots of success from spousal separation and divorces. Whichever it is, when the sun enters there shortly after, about June the 20th, you're going solstice, with Jupiter there, you're going to find a nice prosperity energy from cutting the relationship in the marriage department, cutting the job if it's not the job for you, or cutting the connection to the boss in a way that's been debilitating for you. You just recognize that there's such a power struggle. It's time to let it go. If your floating IC is in the fourth house, and this is whole sign houses, it doesn't define the cusp, and your midheaven is in the 10th house in whole sign houses, you could change your job and you could change your home. This could indicate a move. With Rahu, North Node in the fourth house, to another country, Moon to another country. Changing your home to another country because you're getting divorced, because you're changing your job, because you're quitting your job, because you have a destined new job, because you're in a new relationship connected to work, and a change of home. Particularly good for rental properties with Venus in your sixth house. You're going to rent a property out because you're a landlord. You could lease a property as a tenant, but it's all connected to home, change, work, and social standing. And it comes into play pretty intensely, right, in July when the South Node gets activated. So I gave you 2008 June, September 1970 to compare notes particularly. And I said in the intro, this also has a lot of resonance to the same kind of vibe of June of 1978 to August of 1978. So Capricorn, sun, moon, rising sign. This every 2-year transit of Mars through Virgo is always going to activate a very powerful dharmic house, the 9th house. It really wants to align you with your spiritual philosophy, with purpose, by taking actions and making decisions. That's a classic story. Or traveling, because Mars loves to adventure, and this is far off distant lands, particularly foreign shores. So foreign adventures. Yeah, why not? That's any time between June 17th and August the 9th. This is also the house of third marriages, meaning your third long-term committed love partner. Second marriages is your second house, guys. First marriages are your seventh house, etc. And I'm using a technique that's not the classical cultural one of India, but I'm using derived houses. So it means that you might cut, end, or sever, let go, and release a third long-term committed love. That's like a marriage. in cohabitation, committed marriage, whatever. You might also be traveling into places you've been before, South Node, not just recent past, but past lives that you have a deep soul connection with. You might be very ambitious here around fighting for your legal rights in a matter that you really care about, and all said and done, Jupiter blesses you in legal settlements. So you are good to go to court, take that battle, win the day, and receive the blessings. So we have protection from Jupiter and we have support from Mars in those endeavors. Are you somebody who's in the book publishing industry? Well, maybe a lucky deal could come, but because you're ambitious, determined, and aggressive here, and you might have a lucky opportunity, but it's South Node. So if it's book publishing, you know this publisher, you've been there before, you've worked with them, and you're going to have a lucky break for an agreement or contract or an agent. That's all Mercury, Jupiter in your 7th house. Now, Capricorn, people. One thing I need to say, if you're single and looking for love, Venus in the house of romance with shock and awe and outside the box and erratic energy Uranus flowing to Mars in a travel house. So single people who are looking for love, get on the old airplane, train, and automobile, especially flights, especially long distance foreign country travel. Well, you just could meet your person. What can you do? Jupiter says, and this relationship really lasts. We want to make it long-term and committed. So that's great for you single Capricorns to really come into contact with a potential long-term, really beautiful and very destined love story. But it looks like you have to be in a university setting, traveling, in a spiritual community, especially with the South Node. This is a very powerful place for letting go and surrendering to a divine energy, to God's plan, to deeper layers of being, connected to spiritual philosophy, dharma, alignment with purpose, and the decisions that allow you to do that. If you're already in a relationship, well, Jupiter will try to strengthen the relationship over the next year, June of this year till July of next year. And as this Mars ingress happens, it kind of indicates maybe a potential renewal of the relationship between June 17th to August the 9th. Some of that could happen because you guys are going to level up, like romance to commitment to setting a wedding date, looking at visas and passports and legal matters connected to travel and long distance love, for example. Things like this are going on. But I'm still wary of July 20. I'm really wary of July 21st. So look to see what happens, because the South Node is definitely what you need to let go of, not what you're trying to add. Surrender, release, flush it down the toilet. If you do end a relationship under this transit, it has a whole namaste vibe. Everybody's going to be okay. All right. Everyone is in agreement, something sweet and gentle about it for sure. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Yes, I am indeed a rising sign. So I am one of you. And we can say that this is happening just like it did in 2017, 2019, 2021, but more like June of 2008 or September of 1970. We're saying, here we are again. Mars is in our chunky money house. Now, Mars is interesting here. He can be very much about cutting, ending, and severing things that aren't working there, like your investment portfolios or your royalty incomes or your ad income. Like I make ad income on YouTube. And he may say, South Node, let go a bit of that, loosen the reins, loosen the grip of that residual money. Because actually the North Node traveling through your 2nd house through to mid next summer is going to increase your earnings and your success financially anyway. You probably saw evidence of it since January when the North Node entered here. So rest easy on that front. But Mars, he's like, okay, well, what do you need to eliminate in the 8th house of the way money comes through others? If you're dependent on government checks or subsidies or your spousal money, you're going to cut that storyline. You're going to come to a closure on that. Well, Mars is the occult mysteries, like the tarot, the astrology world, I talk to dead people, the woo-woo, and your passion and drive are increasing here. And South Node can be actually something to do with connecting to a past talent or ability or predilection for some of those things. For me, for example, I'm really thinking I'm going to start a tarot channel. I've been reading tarot cards for years. It's just I do astrology now. And so maybe it'd be fun for me to go back and re-pick up that hobby or path that I used to be on and just reinvigorate it. And I bring that up because Mercury is the lord of your house of hobbies or talents and gifts you're naturally good at, your fifth. And he sextiles this transit and he sextiles the South Node. And Jupiter says work and blessings in talents and gifts that you have that are occult, that you've known in the past of this life or past lives. So it can be picking up a new talent or hobby to do with occult mysteries and magic and really thrusting forward with that in some new way to create chunky money. Venus is flowing beautifully to Mars in the eighth house. Now, eighth house, think mortgages, banks, leveraging money, other people's money you can get your hands on that you don't earn. I'm going to borrow money from my bank. I'm going to get a mortgage for this thing. That's the money that's not yours. So there's something exciting going on here. It's also the money that your partner makes in your life. You're married to somebody, say, or you're with a long-term partner. This is their money. So is it good or bad that Mars is bumping into the South Node on July 21st? Ask your partner if they lost a lot of money in June of 2008 or September of 1970 and give them a warning. That would be helpful. You could find it's like Venus is beautiful home, beauty in the home, design in the home, art in the home, love and joy and beauty in the home. And she's going through this part of your chart till about July the 5th. And as this is flowing to Mars in the 8th with a surprising shock with Uranus, there may be an unexpected, surprising way that you could have a financial situation favor you to possess a beautiful home, an unexpected new development in your home. Jupiter says maybe rentals as well, a bigger rental, a more beautiful rental opportunity, or decorating your current rental, who knows. South Node in your eighth house with Mars on July 21st. Be careful because Mars rules thievery and what do you call it? Swindling and things to do with, like scams and fishing expeditions. PHIS. This is a warning around the 21st of July. Do not get taken in by a too good to be true, get rich quick, or something like that. This is where circumspection is extremely important. Maybe you got swindled financially in, mid-June of 2008 or September of 1970. If I could remember June of 2008, I'd let you know. What was I doing in June of 2008? I sold my house. That was lovely, actually. I just took possession of a bunch of money from selling a property in the fall of 2007 and finalizing the sale. Well, it all worked out. So it was actually quite auspicious at the time for my Aquarius rising with the South Node. It could be destined, successes in your finances as well. Like I can't remember something where I got swindled back then. Well, wait, I take it back. A little bit of swindling there. A little bit. Yeah. I was blackmailed. I was extorted or whatever by somebody at that time in my life around money matters. In order to take possession of some wealth, I had to, bend over backwards to sign away some other wealth. Okay, so there was that Mars conniving stuff going on there for me back in the summer of 2008. So just go back and try to remember your story. I have no idea. September 1970, what I was doing, guys, I was a kid. I was 8 years old. Maybe somebody robbed my piggy bank. Be careful for that as well. That's my warning for you. Otherwise, most things are good and you get divine protection from Jupiter. So if you get a swindle or something bad going on, it's not too bad at all. It's nothing. You could have a golden new career opportunity with a contractual agreement that up levels your finances. And it's simply a matter of, and things you're doing in and from the home supporting that as well. So that's another way this could work out as well. Or tax accounting. Your accountant says, I got a new strategy for you and we're going to work the angles and you're going to be richer because of it. Those are things that may happen mid-June to August the 9th. Well, we always joke about you guys, last but not least, best and always best, because you're so patient because your sign is last. So here we are. Don't forget to like, subscribe, by the way, all of you, and hit the bell for notification. It looks to me like what Mars is doing with the South Node between June the 17th and August 9th is potentially causing some turbulence in your marriage or your long-term committed love, because South Node is letting go and also health issues. Your significant other could injure themselves, fall under a temperature, a rash, have challenges to do with inflammation, accidents. You need to tell your partner it's time to be careful. They may also be very aggressive towards you, gnarly and confrontational during this transit. It happens every 2 years, but not with the South Node, which amplifies health challenges for your partner. So the last time your partner went through this, if you were with them, is June of 2008 and September of 1970 with the South Node. So compare notes. Your partner might have to fight for something or might be ready to let go of something in their own lives. Simple, right? But they may be confrontational or aggressive or angry and discontent. I like that Jupiter is trying to bless the situation from the fifth house of children, romantic love, creativity. So Jupiter is going to try to work it out here, especially if there's conflict in a relationship around romance or sexuality. Jupiter will try to ease the situation. If you have children alone or with your partner, Jupiter will try to add some blessings from the house of children to some kind of difficulty your partner's going through. Your partner's going through a problem, a health challenge. His kids are there for him. You're going through a conflict with your partner. Your children are there for you. So Jupiter's sort of edging in to make something good happen here. If you're entrepreneurial or artistic, you might have to let go of a way you've been trying to produce that success in the marketplace or the audience and change your tactics regarding hitting the mark with that audience, marketplace, clients, as Jupiter is giving you abundance in your house of creativity and entrepreneurship for a year. And Mars is saying we're going to let go of the way we were approaching those others in our life. Are you single? You could be. Jupiter, Mars, and the Venus story could bring in a powerful new passionate relationship destined from a past life storyline or a past person from this life, flowing to Venus in the house of neighbors, neighborhood, and short distance travel. You might be spending some time traveling for love. Yeah, why not? June the 17th, August the 9th, traveling for love from a soulmate from the past or a person from your past, a lot of engagement with passion, with a lot of intelligent conversation, maybe from Venus in the third. A book publishing contract could come off of this. I'm not going to explain why, and it's destined. Venus in your third house, well, she wants you to really find a nice ease with sexual romantic love. Jupiter agrees. This is nice if you're single or you're like not in a marriage yet. This could really be important, but I will give you a warning out of it. Still, you're going to hit July 31st. So say you're dating somebody, which is conceivable. Mars moved out of the dating house for the last, 2 months before this and even earlier, but we won't go into the past. But trust me, then there's a testing of that relationship. Will it make the cut from dating to longer commitment? And that will be a time around July 31st where, should it last, you'll probably continue. Should it not get through the month of July into early August, it probably won't continue. It's going to be tested at that time. But there's no hardship here. There's a lot of friendship and ease and namaste, even if something comes to an end. And again, if you're already with somebody, it really tests their health. Things in their life may feel like they need to let go of something. They may be going through a challenging time. Again, the third week of July. And anytime Mars goes through the seventh house every 2 years, people face separation and divorce. Like, you're separated from your partner logistically, maybe travel reasons. You're not in proximity. You have to travel back and forth to see each other. And that's true. Again, here we are, June 17th, August 9th, separation from that person you love. But Mars, every time he comes through here, is equally able to end that relationship. And with the South Node, it's even more so. So did you end a major long-term love relationship in the summer or June of 2008 or September of 1970? Those are comparables. And maybe most you won't, unless you're born in the 50s, this is irrelevant for the 1970s story. But for those of you, old enough to go back to June of 2008, you might have let go of a relationship at the time if you're a Pisces rising, especially Sun and Moon secondarily. So thank you for listening to that, all of you. Don't forget, this is a channel that grows when you hit the like button, when you subscribe, and especially if you hit your notification bell. And if you think you're subscribed, can you double check? Because YouTube is all kinds of channels I'm hearing now of all different types are talking about the subs dumps that YouTube's been doing as they scrub the bots from your channel and take out your regular subscribers. I was unsubscribed from 2 channels I listen to regularly. And I'm like, how did that happen? I love those channels, So if you haven't watched my channel in maybe 4 or 5 months, once, they might unsubscribe you. But if you're back again, check to see. And last thing I want to say is I always do my new extra outro, whatever you want to call it, some rambling. I want to share with you a cute story. Some of you read my Substack article. As soon as Saturn ingressed into my third house of my local neighborhood coffee shops, an elder man, Saturn is a wise old man who's 94, named Steve, entered my life. I met him. We had the most amazing hour and a half conversation. It was just a random sit down across from a stranger on a kind of a rectangular table. I was working on a project on my laptop, having green tea, and we hit up a really nice energy. And I wrote about it when Saturn enters the coffee shop, and it was a really popular article. Maybe I can put it down below for you to go check it out. It's in my free subscription level of my Pluto Chronicles at Substack. And today was the first time we got together since that. This is Saturday, June the 7th. And he brought a woman friend who was 74. So I'm 63. There's a 74-year-old woman, Leilana, and there's Steve. What a great trio. We had such great conversation. But then Leilana, she's got the same naturopath as me in a city of thousands, millions of people, Vancouver. She is totally on the health gig. She looks like she's in her late 50s, early 60s. Well, Lisa, early 60s. She's very youthful looking. And she told me about a book I should read. And somebody told me a day and a half before about that book, a client of mine. Now I can't remember it. Something with the word questions in it. Oh, my menopause brain. Ask the right questions, something with the word. I'm going to find that book. I need a third person to tell me in the comments. Is there a spiritual book about something with the word questions in it that you know about that may be trending in the chatter lately in the title of the book? Okay, so that's the book. So I said, you won't believe it. My client 2 or 3 days ago said, check that out. Check this book out. I forgot about it. And then she reiterated it. We have the same naturopath. So we exchange our information. So the whole point of the story is this. It's like it was a synchronistic flow that led me through the Saturn ingress into my house of coffee shops to Steve, an old man friend in the house of local neighbors and friends, who's now a new friend. And then we end up with a new friend through a friend because I'm back in the coffee shop today, same coffee shop, and he brings an extra friend. And it's also following the synchronistic impulse to follow the breadcrumbs. For example, I had no plan to write in the coffee shop that Sunday 3 Sundays back. It was just an impulse to go earlier in the day and write. And I did. And it just literally opened up the door to this friendship. And so follow your instincts and then follow the breadcrumbs, because he and I were going to try to get together again. And I couldn't because I got sick. And now I'm traveling on our dates that we had set. But because we chose this Saturday, this woman was available. And so we all got together. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know, I'm tickled and delighted by the synchronicities that happen when we are awake to pattern recognition, like the ladybug at the beginning of the video, or the icky bug when I said to watch for health challenges for one of the signs, but the ladybug at the beginning of the video. This is not the worst Mars transit, with Jupiter bonifying him in a way in a sextile in his exaltation. So don't be fretful about Mars. Follow your synchronicities, find the enchantment of life. It's hard sometimes, guys. I get down to, like, I get overwhelmed with the work. I'm tired. I'm working hard. I don't know if I have enough leisure time. No, certainly no mani-pedi time. I haven't had a mani-pedi forever. I don't do the pampering that I normally would do if I was in a more spacious environment. My whole ideal is to have enough time off from the regular grind of my day job, which is you guys, to write books again. So I'm going to follow the clues and the breadcrumbs that allow me to write. I'm a writer by heart and trade, journalist, fiction writer. I'm a writer who happens to be doing a lot of YouTube astrology because of the Leo North Node in my 7th house that makes me have to perform for the audience. I hope this is enjoyable. I hope you like my rambles at the end. I'll be adding more different rambles as time goes on. And I'll be changing the channel to add teaching content that's evergreen so that you can learn stuff and always find that here, so that that content will always be available. So I'm going to try to carve out time in the early part of the fall and maybe sometime in the summer to create more long form teaching content videos for you on how to do things with astrology. All right. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so very much.